Good morning. It is Saturday. I wanted to make a video going over what happened throughout the week. So I'm not editing anything. I'm just gonna go with it. So if there's any mistakes, just bear with me. In front of you, you have Friday's candle. So if you've been following me, you look at how Friday candle closed relative to the day before, which is Thursday. It closed above the high, right? So when it closes above the high, automatically I assume that we potentially, right? That's the key word. Nothing is guaranteed. We potentially would have a continuation to the upside. But that is why I have sort of guardrails that guide me through my trades, right? And what I do is I mark the midpoint of previous day. So this is Friday's midpoint here, and then I might mark the high and the low of Friday. This should already be repetitive if you've been following me. I put the low here. So that would be the low. So if we want to go high, we want to watch the midpoint to go high. Preferably, you don't want the previous day high to be taken, as you could use that as your target. So I don't marry a bias, right? I have what can potentially happen, but if we lose the midpoint, then I can take a short from here. But the middle time frame has to align the 4 hour, the 1 hour, and then the 5 minute is my execution time frame. So if you don't have a trading software where you backtest, you could do it on TradingView. You just go back and do what I'm about to do, and I'm gonna show you that you can make money with only one micro. So, um, once you have that here, we're saying that this can go higher. And another confluence here is that this candle closed above this down close candle, which is a change in state of delivery. Remember, we've been in this range here, so it's been ugly price action. So after that, what I do is I go into the 1 hour time frame, and then I'll just bring my indicator here. This is the T-Trades indicator. It's a paid version. Um, so here that the indicator will mark it for you, and it'll say, last week Wednesday swept Tuesdays. Now Thursday can go a C4, and then Friday. I'm sorry, Thursday a C3, Friday a C4. So now we have a potential continuation, right? Like I said earlier. So what I'll do is just I'll fast forward my candles all the way to 9 o'clock, because that's when I start trading, 7, 8, and 9. Now, remember, I said I'm looking for a continuation higher, right? But if you read price, right, you see that it opened at $1,800 and it just went down. We lost the mid portion of it. So that's a clue for me already in and of itself. I'm not gonna try to go long here if we're below the midpoint. So this is where I say you don't marry a bias, right? You sort of react to price. So once that's, I don't have anything I like here because I'm looking for a C2 closure and I don't have a C2 closure. So what I'll do is I'll just gotta be patient and wait for the next candle. Next candle opens, and guess what? We have a C2 closure to the upside, but we're below the midpoint. I'm not taking a long here. So I let another candle go. Once this candle at 11 comes in, then this narrative is aligning with what I want, right? So now the narrative, which is we're below midpoint, we probably can go a little bit lower, right? And then I also check ES to see what it's doing. Um, and You know what? I didn't mark the drawings, but we could just sort of do it here really quick. This is Friday. So we want to know if we're below the midpoint, and we are. We are below the midpoint, so that's weakness too, because you don't want ES to be above the midpoint and then NQ being below the midpoint. I also check YM for this. Um, and then we want to see if YM is also below the midpoint, which you mark it here. And YM is right at midpoint. We do have an SMT as well with ES. So it's sort of aligning with my narrative that I wanted to go lower. So what I do is, I mark the C2 closure. I mark the midpoint of this 11 o'clock candle, right? You mark half of it. And that's going to guide you as to if it's being respected, the mid portion of it, then you can sort of have your thesis that it's still aligning for a short, right? I also, once I have this mapped out, what I do is I go into the 4 hour time frame and I want to see what is the 4 hour doing. Well, the 4 hour here, you have 6 a.m. sweeping 2 a.m. So then 10 could be C3 on the 4 hour. So you do have a C2 closure, right? And then you have this fair value up here that we didn't tap into. So you have a 4 hour C2 closure that potentially C3 can go lower. And then in your 1 hour here, 11 swept 10, and then you have potentially C3 12 going lower. Once you frame that, once you have that framed out, you can go for targets such as here, relative equal lows that you could have, or shoot for 2R. Once I have that mapped out, I go into the 5 minute time frame. Again, this is Monday. I go into the 5 minute time frame. Let me bring my candles. I have my 4 hour candles, and I also have my 4 hour candles, 1 hour candle. It's a little bit crowded, so okay. So what we want is we want 10 o'clock to respect this dotted blue line here, right? What essentially, not 10 o'clock, I'm sorry, 12 o'clock to respect that because that's the midpoint of 11. So if I'm looking for a short, I want 12 o'clock to go high, then go low, and give me that change in state of delivery so I can try to take a short. So let's see what happens. It's going lower. I don't care about that. Now, this is kind of like what I want, right? You see that 1205 went high. And sometimes what I do is I go into the 15 minute and I see if it went to a point of interest, maybe like a fair value gap, but in this case it didn't. And now what I look for is I want it to go low, give me that change instead of delivery, put my stop loss at the swing high, and then shoot for 2R. So let's play it again, and nothing happens. This hasn't given me a change instead of delivery, a 5 minute change instead of delivery, which in this case will be right there. So I'm not interested in it. This is where you get paid to wait here. I- in trading, you get paid to wait. So if you're not patient and you're trying to front run it and you're trying to like it's not gonna work out. So you have to be very patient. You have to be very patient. So now we have what we want here. We have our bearish change instead of delivery 5 minute here, CISD. You can enter your position now. It's a short. You can enter here, put your stop here at the swing high, and then shoot for 2R, which 2R could be around here. Um, so what I'll do is I'll sell one contract there. and then I'll put my stop loss above here, right? So essentially what it says is that I'm risking about $100. I don't think you can see it, it's all the way to the right, but let me see if I can show you. No. Anyways, he says that I'm risking $100 to make $200. So right here, it will be my 2R right there. That line is my, I enter the position at the close of this. I didn't enter here. Sometimes it shows that you enter here, but at the close here, or you can enter at the next candle. But in this case, if I enter at the next candle, because of the system of how TradingView works, it's gonna give me, it's gonna enter me way below. So now you just submit to your trade, right? Now we just let it play out. And then remember, sometimes retracements are gonna occur, and that's when if you're a new trader, you're gonna get nervous. You're gonna doubt, oh my God, it's gonna reverse. I'm gonna move my stop. No, just keep this in mind. In order for price to go in your favor to the downside, it is going to have to go high to make another low, high to make another low. So when you see that going back, it's okay. You know, it needs to do that. That's how price moves. It doesn't just shoot. Sometimes it does, but it doesn't just normally just shoot, right? Same thing when it's going higher. It goes high, 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 high. So if you're in a long, when it's coming down to make that low, don't be afraid. It's gonna make another high, make another low, make another high, make another low. Anyways, so there. I don't move my stop loss yet because I have to have a protected swing in order for me to move my stop loss. So I just leave it there. I just leave it there, and then boom, it took my 2R. I enter here and I exit here for 2R. You risk $100. I just made $200 here with one contract. You don't need all these monsters contracts. You don't need at the beginning to have consistency. You don't need that. Notice how um, price respected the mid portion of 11. It didn't even attempt to go here and none of that. It just left it there. That was price telling me that it was in a rush to go lower. It didn't even want to come and touch that here. So that trade happened on Monday. And the moral of the story is that sometimes I align myself with the daily, well, most all the time I align myself with the daily candle, but sometimes the bias gets invalidated, and your best friend here is the midpoint of the previous day. And obviously, I just don't go blind and short at the midpoint of previous day. I look at what the mid time frame, I call it the triplets, right? The higher time frame is the daily, and that's the main one that you need to focus on. The middle time frame is the 1 hour and the 4 hours. So in my case, I mainly use the 1 hour and I pair it with the 5 minute. You can use the 4 hour and pair it with the 15 minute, but when both align, it's even better. So in this case here, um, the middle time frame aligned, right? Which you have the sweep here, 11, swept 10, and then close back. So now we want 12 to go lower, which that's exactly what happened. And then in addition to that, you have what I said in the 4 hour is this sweep here where 6 swept 2, now 10 is going lower. So now you are aligning, this is what I call the alignment. Uh, you're aligning the 1 hour candle, 12 o'clock 1 hour candle, C3, with the 4 hour, 10 o'clock candle, which is C3. So you have both, you're trading both C3s on the 1 hour and the 4 hour. And then you're trading the invalidation of the midpoint because the bias was technically bullish. This trade occurred on Monday. Let me know if you have any questions.